The Supreme Court heard oral arguments Wednesday in a case brought by South Carolina to expel Planned Parenthood clinics from its state Medicaid program, even though states are largely already prohibited from using Medicaid to fund abortions. Planned Parenthood says the move violates the Medicaid Act's free choice of provider provision. Under the Medicaid law, patients are entitled to choose their own doctors. In South Carolina, that includes Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, which provides low-income patients with a range of services, including cancer screenings and full physical exams. This is Planned Parenthood South Atlantic's lawyer, Nicole Saharsky, during Wednesday's Supreme Court oral arguments.
It says that there's any individual may obtain care from any qualified and willing provider. So it's the combination of any individual may obtain care from any qualified and willing provider. It disables the state from doing something the state might otherwise want to do, like we want to take this provider out of Medicaid for a reason that's unrelated to medical qualifications, which is what the state is doing here.
South Carolina, which is being represented by the Christian legal group Alliance Defending Freedom, argued that the Medicaid statute does not mention the word right or its functional equivalent, and therefore individuals have no right to sue to enforce the choice of doctor provision. This is Justice Elena Kagan questioning lawyer John Birch, representing South Carolina during Wednesday's oral arguments.
You agree that the state has an obligation here, is that correct?
To provide benefits on the plan, but significantly,
the state has an obligation to provide this particular thing, right, which is the state has an obligation to ensure that a person, I don't even know how to say this line without saying right, has a right to choose their doctor. That's what this provision is. It's impossible to even say the thing without using the word right. Has a benefit to choose their doctor? The state has to ensure that individuals have a benefit to choose their doctor. The state has to ensure that individuals have a right to choose their doctor. That's what this provision is.
Well, that language that you're focused on, may obtain, is not clear rights creating language for 4 reasons.
I don't want 4 reasons. I want you to answer my question. The obligation is to ensure that individuals can choose their doctor.
Outside the Supreme Court Wednesday, both pro- and anti-abortion protesters held rallies as the justices inside considered South Carolina's bid to remove Planned Parenthood clinics from state Medicaid programs. For more, we're joined by Alexis McGill Johnson, president and CEO of the Planned Parenthood Federation of America and the Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Alexis, welcome back to Democracy Now! Can you talk about what struck you most about Wednesday's oral arguments and what they indicate, the direction the justices were going?
Well, good morning, Amy. It's wonderful to be here. You know, look, I think that inside the court, the clip that you showed of Justice Kagan, I think laid bare how valuable it is, once again, to have these critically thoughtful female liberal justices asking the plain questions around what is a state's obligation to ensure non-discrimination and the provision of dignity for every patient around a federal program, a federal insurance program like Medicaid. I cannot read the tea leaves of the court, but I can tell you that I do believe that South Carolina had a hard time trying to prove that it had a right to take away the dignity of patients who choose to go to Planned Parenthood. And that's ultimately what this case is about. It is about whether or not Governor McMaster and his political agenda to try to take Planned Parenthood down in South Carolina really was in violation of what Congress intended when they set forth the Medicaid program and allowed patients to be able to have a free choice of their provider, right? And let's also think about why Congress did that, because states have been denying patients the right to do that. So I thought it was a very compelling conversation inside of the court, and I think it was made more so by the fine arguing of Nicole Saharsky, but also from those justices who really, really made it clear that the right to choose your own provider is just a matter of dignity.
And let's talk about even the state of reproductive care in South Carolina already. Almost 40% of South Carolina counties are believed to be contraceptive deserts. Can you talk about what kind of access, especially but not limited to low-income people who need that care?
Look, this is a story that we see all throughout the South right now, with so many of these states that have enacted these egregious abortion bans already had maternal care deserts. They had deserts where very few counties even have practicing OBGYNs. And the result of that is that you end up with contraceptive deserts, you end up with maternal care deserts, you end up with labor and delivery wards closing precisely because many providers do not want to stay in a state where they may be criminalized or fined for providing the care to the best of their ability to their patients. You know, Planned Parenthood is a health system that literally sits in the middle of the public health system and tries to strengthen it. Many patients that come to Planned Parenthood, we are the first point of entry into the healthcare system broadly. And the fact that Governor McMaster would want to deny patients access to care when, you know, many times we are the only safety net, the safety net of the safety net, they're providing care, just seems completely bonkers to us as well.
And talk about what that care is. It goes way beyond abortion.
Oh, of course, it goes way beyond abortion. It is STI testing. It is access to contraception, wellness exams, breast cancer screenings, gender-affirming care, everything that someone would need to live a full and free, sexually healthy life. And I think that, again, in many cases, it is there's primary care being provided in Planned Parenthood health centers. It is just basic health care. And to have a state try to deny that is what this case is about, using levers like Medicaid.
Already, South Carolina bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy? Correct. Can you talk about Texas? In 2021, Texas terminated Planned Parenthood from its state Medicaid program. Talk about this precedent and also what it means if the conservative majority Supreme Court rules in favor of South Carolina.
Yes. So, look, we have states that have, taken various measures to attack Planned Parenthood and remove us from, their state Medicaid system. And the impact of that, again, is on the patients, right? This isn't about Planned Parenthood. This is about whether or not the patients have the right to use their health insurance in order to get access to the care of their choice, of their choosing from their provider. What will happen if the Supreme Court decides to rule in favor of South Carolina is that more states will act like South Carolina and Texas. Many of those states that have enacted the most restrictive abortion bans will very likely try to remove Planned Parenthood from its ability or patients' ability to use Medicaid to go to Planned Parenthood. So it could have very devastating consequence on the patients throughout those states and their ability to get high quality care that we believe they deserve.
And can you explain what the powerhouse Christian legal group Alliance Defending Freedom is? This is the group that brought the case against Planned Parenthood in South Carolina.
Yes. So this is, a group that should be no surprise was incorporated in Amarillo, Texas, so that anytime they can bring a lawsuit, they can go directly to Judge Kaczmarek, who is the only federal judge in the Northern District of Texas, a very friendly, anti-abortion judge that, has clearly opened his court to these kinds of cases and supporting them. We are before that court right now on a false claims case, a meritless case, where not only has Texas kicked Planned Parenthood affiliates out of the Medicaid program there, they are also suing to recoup resources back to the state for all of the other services that have been provided in a bogus lawsuit that is intended to try to bankrupt Planned Parenthood. And I think that, we are watching just a patchwork of, very Christian nationalists and anti-abortion organizations work with this new structural advantage that they have, both with the administration as it currently stands, the Supreme Court, and the kind of patchwork of a judicial system that has, been co-opted by right-wing judges.
The Trump administration's withholding tens of millions of dollars from 9 Planned Parenthood state affiliates that provide contraceptives and other vital reproductive care predominantly to low-income and people of color. The providers received notices this week stating their Title X funding was being temporarily retained due to possible violations, they said, of Trump's policies against DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Health and Human Services has given the providers, which operate dozens of clinics nationwide, including in Indiana and Kentucky, 10 days to comply with Trump's demands to eliminate DEI initiatives. In a letter, HHS pointed to mission statements and other public documents that highlight the clinic's commitment to Black communities as supposed evidence of their noncompliance. Alexis McGill Johnson, you're the CEO of Planned Parenthood. Your response?
I'm a CEO of Planned Parenthood. I am a Black woman. I am someone who cares deeply about reducing disparities in healthcare in communities, as we all should. I can't think of any American who would believe that the color of your skin should dictate what kind of care you get. And that is what Planned Parenthood stands for. No matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter what your zip code is, no matter how you identify, no matter your documentation status, we are there to serve you and ensure that you get high quality, time-sensitive care. And so I think about the work that Planned Parenthood providers do every day, the way they are able to leverage a critically important, longstanding program like Title X to fund access to contraception and support communities, and the idea that the Trump administration would take those resources away or attempt to spend those resources because Planned Parenthood is committed to improving health outcomes in community. That is essentially what they are saying. What they are not saying is that this is, just another one of the dozens of attacks that Planned Parenthood is facing as, people who want to use any means that they have to deny access and resources to Planned Parenthood because they are trying to advance their anti-abortion agenda.
So are you sticking with DEI at these clinics or the clinics?
Each affiliate is going to make their decisions about how they enact improvements to health outcomes. But at our core, reducing disparities, health disparities in community is what we do. And I think that's really important for us to move away from, just these, trigger words like DEI and actually talk about what those words mean and what they mean in practice for a community, right? Ensuring we have representation of everyone so that, we have people who speak the same languages as our patients so that we can give them the best care, that we have, an ability to improve outcomes and ensure that people are getting the right resources to do so. And that, everyone is actually seen, not just seen by a doctor, but literally seen for who they are and what they want. That is what I have in my healthcare system that I go to. I know when I walk into my provider, they know who I am. They are able to, see me and understand my particular needs. And I think everyone in America deserves that. And I can't imagine that this administration will be very popular in trying to deny other Americans that same right.
And finally, we just have a minute, but with Planned Parenthood under assault, you've also had a lot of victories. Among them, in Wisconsin, Judge Susan Crawford, who once represented Planned Parenthood as an attorney, trounced the Brad Schimmel, the judge who was funded by, among others, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. The significance of this and other victories that you consider so important at this very fraught time?
Oh, Wisconsin was such a shot in the arm, I think, for this movement, for so many movements, because I think what it shows is that the good people of Wisconsin, the good people of America, do not want to be bought. They want to do what is right. They want the ability to make decisions, to continue to vote for freedom, and to ensure that their representation reflects that in their state. And I think, all of us looking to Wisconsin, have a lot of hope about what is possible right now as we fight back with this administration. I also think, and the practical implications of that, right? We have a state that is, voted in support of reproductive freedom, and to have a state Supreme Court to affirm that is going to be really important. It's also going to be really important as we approach, in 5 years, the year 2030, and we hit a redistricting year, and so that we're able to kind of start to fight back structurally in the space that we are in. I'd also point you to Missouri, Amy. The people of Missouri voted to enshrine, to actually flip a ban, abortion ban in November, and it's only been within the last month that the Missouri clinics have been able to provide access to abortion, because even when you win, you still have to defend it with the state AG and the state house that may not be favorable. So that is the work that we have to be reminded of, that even when we win, we have to defend those wins fiercely and remind these electeds what we want and who we are and how powerful we will be to ensure that we get to maintain our freedoms.
Alexis McGill Johnson, President and CEO of the Planned Parenthood Federation of America and the Planned Parenthood Action Fund.